In the heart of a desert canyon, there is a city carved entirely from stone. A city that once held 30,000 people, that controlled the wealth of the ancient world, that built pipelines and reservoirs and palaces into solid rock 900 years before Rome fell. And then, one day, everyone left. No war destroyed it. No invader burned it to the ground. The buildings are still standing. The tombs are still sealed. But the people who built it simply vanished into history. And for over 1,000 years, the outside world forgot this place ever existed. This is the story of Petra, the ancient city carved into the rosy red sandstone cliffs of southern Jordan, and why its abandonment is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. To understand why Petra was abandoned, you first have to understand something almost impossible: how it was ever built at all. Petra sits inside one of the driest, harshest regions on Earth, the southern Jordan, a landscape of bare rock and burning sun, where rainfall is rare and unpredictable. This is not a place where cities are supposed to survive, and yet, over 2,000 years ago, a nomadic Arab tribe called the Nabateans looked at this brutal terrain and decided to build their capital right in the middle of it. They weren't farmers, they weren't settled people. They were desert traders, merchants who controlled the caravan routes carrying frankincense, myrrh, and spices from Arabia to the Mediterranean. And somewhere along the way, these wandering traders became master engineers. They carved channels into solid rock to capture every drop of rain. They built hidden dams to stop flash floods from destroying their city. They piped water for miles underground into a city that, by every law of nature, should have been empty desert. At its peak, Petra was home to as many as 30,000 people. It had temples, a Roman-style theater carved directly into the cliffside, and marketplaces overflowing with silk, spices, and gold. The Romans themselves were so impressed that when they eventually annexed the kingdom, they didn't destroy Petra. They gave it a new title, Metropolis of Arabia. But here's what most people get wrong about Petra. Its real treasure was never gold, it was water. In a region where a single caravan could die of thirst before reaching the next well, the Nabateans turned water into power. They controlled it, stored it, and sold it, charging traveling merchants for safe passage and access to their reservoirs. Every caravan crossing the incense route from Arabia to the Mediterranean had to pass through Nabatean territory, and every caravan needed water to survive. This was the foundation of Petra's entire empire, not conquest, not military force, but infrastructure. And for nearly 500 years, this strategy made the Nabateans one of the wealthiest civilizations in the ancient world, which makes what happened next even more devastating. Because the very system that built Petra's golden age would also become the thread that, once pulled, unraveled everything. In the year 106 AD, everything changed. Rome, the largest empire the world had ever seen, absorbed the Nabatean kingdom without a fight. Petra was renamed, reorganized, and folded into the Roman province of Arabia. On the surface, nothing seemed wrong. The city kept growing. The Romans even built new roads, a theater, and grand colonnaded streets. For a while, Petra thrived under its new rulers, earning honors and prestige. But underneath that prosperity, something dangerous was happening, something the people living there could not yet see. Rome didn't need Petra the way the ancient trade caravans once had. The empire had its own roads, its own ports, its own ways of moving goods that didn't depend on a single desert city controlling a single desert route. And far to the south, something even bigger was rising: the sea. Sailors had begun mastering the monsoon winds of the Red Sea, discovering they could move spices and incense directly by ship, faster, cheaper, and without paying a single toll to Petra's caravans. Slowly, quietly, over the space of decades, the ancient overland trade routes that had made Petra rich for 5 centuries began drying up, long before any well ever did. This is the first hidden truth behind Petra's abandonment. It didn't fall in a single moment. It began the slow way empires always fall, with money moving somewhere else. Then, in the year 363 AD, the ground itself turned against Petra. A massive earthquake tore through the region. In the city built entirely on precision, on channels measured to the inch, on cisterns sealed to hold every drop, the earthquake was catastrophic in a way most cities could never understand. It wasn't just buildings that collapsed. It was the water system itself. Cracked channels, shattered dams, broken pipelines that had taken generations to perfect. In an instant, the very technology that had made human life possible in this desert was in ruins. A bishop in Jerusalem wrote about the destruction in a letter that survives to this day, proof of just how far the shock waves of that disaster were felt. Imagine surviving in one of the harshest deserts on Earth, and then losing your water infrastructure overnight. Some residents rebuilt. Petra did not vanish immediately. Instead, it clung on, adapting, converting old temples into churches as a new religion. Christianity spread through its streets. Grand new buildings, like the Petra church with its dazzling mosaic floors, rose from the rubble. For a while, it looked like the city might recover, but nearly 200 years later, in 551 AD, the earth shook again. A second, even more devastating earthquake struck, and this time, entire mountainsides of sandstone came crashing down into the city that had once seemed eternal. 2 earthquakes, 200 years apart, each one arriving exactly when Petra could least afford it. Here's where most documentaries about Petra stop the story. Earthquake hits, city dies, the end. But that's not actually what happened. And this is the part almost nobody tells you. Petra didn't die in 551 AD. People kept living there for more than a century afterward. Archaeologists have found papyrus scrolls from this era, everyday legal documents about land and marriage, proving that ordinary life continued inside the broken city long after the earthquakes. For decades, historians simply weren't looking in the right places. Most excavations focused only on the spectacular carved tombs, creating the illusion of a city frozen in its Nabatean glory days, and then getting abruptly empty. The real story is slower, and in some ways, much sadder. It's not the story of a single catastrophe. It's the story of 1,000 small departures, as water systems failed and were only partially repaired, as trade routes kept shifting toward the coast, as the Byzantine Empire's attention moved elsewhere. Families made a choice that people have made throughout human history when a place stops giving them a future. They left, a few at a time, for the nearby springs and fertile valleys of what is now Wadi Musa. Then, in 636 AD, a new power reshaped the entire region. The armies of the early Islamic conquests swept through the Levant. Petra, already weakened, already half-emptied, found itself far from the new centers of power. It was no longer a crossroads of empires. It was simply out of the way. By around 700 AD, only a handful of people remained among the ruins. The city that once held 30,000 souls had, quietly and without ceremony, come to an end. For the next 1,000 years, Petra existed only as memory, known to the local Bedouin communities who lived among its ruins and passed down its stories, even as it was essentially erased from the map the wider world used. Empires rose and fell. The Crusades came and went. The Renaissance happened. Entire centuries of human history unfolded, and the outside world had no idea that one of the greatest cities of antiquity was sitting hidden behind a narrow canyon in the Jordanian desert. It wasn't until 1812 that a Swiss explorer named Johann Burckhardt, disguised as a Muslim pilgrim searching for the tomb of the prophet Aaron, convinced a local guide to lead him through the Sikh. What he found on the other side stunned the Western world. A lost city, perfectly preserved in stone, waiting in silence for over 1,000 years just to be rediscovered. Petra hadn't been destroyed. It hadn't been buried. It had simply been forgotten, a monument to the fact that even the mightiest civilizations can vanish not necessarily with an explosion, but sometimes with. So why was Petra really abandoned? Not one reason. 3, arriving together like a slow-motion collision. 1, an economy that depended entirely on controlling a single trade route. 2, a natural disaster that struck the exact infrastructure that made the city possible. And 3, a changing world that simply moved on without it. None of these alone would have ended Petra. Together, they were unstoppable. And maybe that's what makes this story so unsettling. Petra's people weren't foolish. They weren't careless. They built one of the most advanced water systems in the ancient world. They mastered a brutal desert that should have killed anyone who tried to live there. They were, by every measure, brilliant. But even brilliance can't out-engineer a shifting world. Every civilization believes its foundations are permanent. Its trade routes will always matter. Its water will always flow. Its position in the world will always be secure. Petra believed that too. For 500 years, it had every reason to. But then, quietly, the world moved on without asking permission. Today, Petra stands empty and magnificent. Millions of tourists walk through the same sick that Burckhardt once wandered, past the same treasury the Nabateans carved with nothing but hand tools and unimaginable patience. It has become one of the new 7 wonders of the world, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and a symbol not of destruction, but of impermanence. Because the real mystery of Petra was never really what happened to it. The real mystery is why we're always so surprised when it happens to us. Petra was never conquered. It was never erased by fire or by sword. It simply reached the end of the story that water, trade, and time had written for it. And, like every civilization before and since, it could not rewrite that story once the world stopped needing what it offered. For 1,000 years, the desert kept its secret. The sand did not bury Petra. Silence did. No one came to loot it, because no one remembered it was there to loot. No one came to resettle it, because the roots that once made it necessary had long since moved on. It simply waited, carved in stone, patient in a way only stone can be, for someone to walk back through the sick and remember its name. That is, in the end, the real story of Petra. Not a city destroyed, but a city outlived by the world around it. And if there is a single truth carved into every silent facade in that canyon, it is that nothing endures simply because it was once great. It endures only for as long as the world still has a reason to need it. Petra was Rome's equal in ambition, and the desert's superior in patience. In the end, it was neither conquest nor catastrophe that closed its gates. It was time itself, moving on, the way it always does, with or without our permission. As you stand there, watching it, remember, time does fly. And what gets left behind are stories carved in memory and stones, like Petra. Like and share the video if Petra intrigues you like it does every historian. And for more such stories, stay tuned and subscribe to Meridian Docs.